Hey guys, this is National Master Kevin Yang back at it with another video of our usual chess club, right? So once again, I'm playing against one of our fellow chess club members. So I'm white, and as I said before, it's good to look at it from your opponent's perspective, right? So I'm white, and our chess club member is black. So let's look at the game. So white plays d4. So I play d4, taking control of the center squares, d5, c4. So we've seen this before, it's pretty common, Queen's Gambit, and it's an accepted version, right? Queen's Gambit accepted, e4 comes out. Now the goal of e4 is to get the bishop out to take the pawn. Pretty simple. Knight c6, good move. Really good move, because I'm trying to capture this, but now black is trying to gang up on this pawn. And this pawn is much more important than this pawn. So, I protect the pawn, and now goes for it again, right? So, now we have to think, okay, do I bring this knight out to protect this guy? Do I push? Or do I play here? And after he takes, I push this pawn, right? Or another option is, what if I just push this right away? So there are all these options that we need to consider. And usually there's no, what do you call it? There's no great option. It's not like one is like much superior than the other. It's one of those, after clear thought, you find one move that you're like, okay, it's slightly better than the other, and you make the move, you make the decision. And making those good decisions is what the top players are good at. They're good at sort of trying to find ways to maximize their advantage, to improve their position. So in this case, we play knight c3, g6, and bishop takes c4. Now, I could have once again thought about these two pawn pushes. It doesn't look bad, actually. I looked at it, I thought it was good. However, wanted to give our chess club member a chance, because it's not every day you see these pawns steamrolling down, right? So knight d8, I could play e5, right? And now you just think, if the knight comes back, right, you could consider playing pawn up, right? You could consider taking the pawn, right? So you could look at these two options. They're both very deadly options, but it's both very hard. So I thought about this, and I thought, I love the position and all, but I want to demonstrate that even I can develop pieces, right? So instead of going with the approach I took, knowing that these are still threats, right? So my opponent played bishop e6, and now this falls into a fork. And here's the reason. I saw the fork, but I wanted to give our chess club member a chance. So, d5. Simple as that. When two pieces are next to each other, you gotta always wonder, how can I land a pawn on this square, right? How can I land some sort of piece on this square that attacks both pieces, right? And so d5 is the best move, is the winning move after bishop there, right? Pawn takes knight. White's going to be up a piece, pretty much, once white trades off the pieces in the game, all the pieces. In the end, when there's a king and a few pawns, and a king and a few pawns, white will have this extra knight, so that's a good thing. Just like when I said, when you're up, trade down, because it's important. You want to simplify it as much as possible if you are up material. So keep that in mind. So let's return back to the game. I want to give our chess club member a chance again. Pointed this out. I said, I have this pawn push, but let's see if you can do anything about it. Right? So I played bishop e2. And now you have to think about it. How do I get these guys off? So 1, you can move the knight back. 2, you can move the bishop up. 3, you can move the bishop back. Or 4, you can do nothing and just develop your pieces. So, they're not ideal, but you have to do it to prevent this threat, right? So, instead, our chess club played knight b4. Now, immediately I thought of something. First of all, I thought, this doesn't work anymore, right? But secondly, I thought, okay, what if I move my queen here, attack the knight, and check the king, right? So let's examine it. Queen a4, and now if you move the bishop back, I take the knight, right? And if you move your knight back, what happens? Well, same thing happens. e5, fork, good night, right? So that basically we know that it's deadly. No matter what, it's deadly, right? So our chess club member plays bishop d7, and the knight goes, right? He had a good life, he tried, didn't happen. Bishop g7, finally push. I decide, you know what? I gotta continue that pressure. Knight h5, bishop g5, and that's why I played bishop g5. If our chess club member castles, I take on e7. Point being, my queen is supporting the bishop. That's the point of bishop g5. And also to make this knight look really, awkward. So our chess club member plays f6. Wonderful move. Just blocking from my threat, right? So I play bishop h4. And I know, okay, computer says question mark. But here's the thing. Does it really matter that much in this position? And the answer is, because I'm up a piece, not many moves will allow me to lose this advantage. Like, pretty much the only two losing moves you can make in this position with your bishop are bishop 4, right? Knight takes, but even here, white still has a sort of advantage because of this blockade. It still has a little bit of an advantage. Think about it like this. Even bishop h6, even if black takes here, white will still have a sort of advantage, right? So it's not lost because these pieces are just really strong in the center. But even moving it here, it won't cost that much of an advantage, but I'm taking into account that I'm not going to lose the piece, I'm going to keep the advantage. So that's basically my strategy. Now, g5. First thing I thought, this looks a little bit, suspicious. Looks a little bit weird, right? And I also thought, okay, why don't we just take here, right? And then I also thought, an interesting move, e6. Now you might be thinking, why e6, right? because after bishop takes, knight takes pawn, now the knight is threatening this, and the bishop is threatening this. So after takes, check, right? Check, bishop back, and then you have check, c6, bring the queen over. This is definitely game, but you get the point, right? Is that this e6 move, sacrificing, was pretty powerful. I didn't play it. Instead, I played knight takes. And the thing is, an advanced move would be to see that, I shouldn't take back because I'm going to get checked, right? We know that as a fact. So why not just move the knight away and attack a crucial pawn at the same time? So for example, if white played waiting move, right? Now black has to think, take, right? And maybe you take here, maybe you take here, but at least there are some plans of counterplay, right? But instead, what happened in the game was white castled. I played this very interesting move, queen b3. And here black had two options, two better options. I thought king moving in was the best option, because I was thinking, okay, do I want to check here with a fork on the king and the queen, and after rook takes, queen takes knight? Or do I just want to take this knight, right? So there are still these challenges that I have to think about. So it's not an easy game, right? But instead, our chess club member just went all in for suicide, Rook here. I thought, ooh, that was a bad move. Knight takes, queen takes, right? So I played knight takes. Our opponent played h6, and I told him that his queen was hanging, and he just sort of shrugged it off and resigned. Well, it's not easy. It's not easy when somebody tells you that you've just hung your queen, right? So let's learn some things from this. Is that 1, g6, right? A little bit of an inaccuracy because white has d5 and e5 and pushing all over the board. So another inaccuracy was here, right? Allowing the fork. So that's not the best, but we can always improve on such things, right? And the knight. I guess we keep going, right? Remember that I guess moving the knight was a little bit better of an idea, but it was definitely really hard to see. And rook 7. I mean, both king h8 and e6 pawn up would have prolonged the game, but it's a game, and we all make mistakes, and hopefully you learn something from this particular game.